So welcome to Lunch with the League. I'm Julie Rodewald and I will be leading the webinar today. Just a couple of housekeeping items. Remember to submit your questions in Q&A. Our sessions are being recorded and they will be available on our website, on our YouTube channel, and on our Facebook page. So I want to remind everyone that the League is a nonpartisan organization that does not support or oppose political parties or candidates. We do take positions on issues of public importance, specifically those that threaten voting rights, and it is widely known that we followed the redistricting process closely and have taken a position in opposition to the map adopted by the Board of Supervisors. We also encourage active informed participation in government and work to increase understanding of public policy issues. This has been the focus of our Lunch with the League series since the inception in 2020. And in keeping with this focus, the purpose of today's webinar is to provide you with information to help you understand the new boundary lines and the effect of the maps adopted at both the county and the state level. County Clerk Recorder Elena Cano was invited to participate today in a limited role during the question and answer period. However, in light of her candidacy for office and our nonpartisan policy, she will not be joining us. So you'll be stuck with me, and I will hopefully be able to answer any of the questions that arise. So let's go ahead and get started. So just to do a little recap of the redistricting process, at the state level, the California Citizens Independent Redistricting Commission was in charge of drawing the lines, the new lines for our congressional, Senate, and Assembly districts. And you can find all of the information about this process at wedrawthelines.ca.org. It has a wealth of information, including all of the maps, as well as their final report and reports on all of the meetings that they held. There was a challenge filed, a legal challenge filed, but that petition was denied in December of 2021. And then at the local level, the San Luis Obispo County Board of Supervisors drew the lines for the supervisorial districts. And you can find information about that, including all the meetings at slocounty.ca.gov under the administrative office and 2021 redistricting. And there is a legal challenge to this map that was filed by the San Luis Obispo Concerned Citizens for Good Government, and that lawsuit is ongoing. So let's take a look at both our current and then the new district lines. Our 24th congressional district currently includes all of San Luis Obispo, all of Santa Barbara, and a portion of Ventura County. And now that's changed. And just let me go back for one moment. San Luis Obispo County has been fortunate over the years to be in one congressional, one assembly, and one Senate district. And that has changed dramatically. We're now in 2 of each of those districts, and I'll show you all of the new district lines. So we're now part of the 19th congressional district, which is northern San Luis Obispo County, western Monterey County, all of Santa Cruz County, and a portion of Santa Clara County. And I don't know if you can, how well you can see that, but you notice that they didn't even know how to spell San Luis Obispo on this map. It is corrected on the next map. The 24th congressional district is a portion of San Luis County, all of Santa Barbara County, and a portion of Ventura County. And this map shows where approximately the dividing line between those 2 districts is. Just south of Atascadero and then over to the eastern borderline of the county, and then everything below that line would be in the 24th. Above that line would be in the 19th district. So going on to our state Senate district, we're in District 17, again, all of San Luis Obispo County, part of Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, and then into Santa Clara County is the current makeup for the 17th Senate district. And now we've been split again into the 17th district, which includes our central and northern portions of San Luis County, all of Monterey, San Benito, and Santa Cruz County. So we're lumped in with the counties to the north of us. And then the first Senate district is the section of our county, all of Santa Barbara, and then portions of Ventura County. And this shows the dividing line again around south of Arroyo Grande, goes up to almost south of the city of San Luis Obispo, and then over to the district line. So the communities of Los Barros, Black Lake, Napomo are in the 21st, and those more northern, those north of that would be in the 17th Senate district. And then the 35th Assembly District encompasses all of our county, San Luis Obispo County, and the northern portion of Santa Barbara County. And now we've been split into the 30th Assembly District, which is most of San Luis County. You'll see on the next map, it's just a very small portion that's not in the 30th Assembly District, Western Monterey County, and a portion of Santa Cruz County. And then the 37th Assembly District takes in just a little tiny corner, Los Barros, Napomo, Black Lake, and then all of Santa Barbara County makes up the 37th Assembly District. So, and then here's the map that shows just that very small portion of the county that's in the 37th, and the rest of the county is in the 30th Assembly District. So now let's take a look at the supervisorial district lines. And these two maps show you the 2011 districts and the 2021 districts, and how much they've changed. The coloring of the districts aligns with the numbers. So District 1 is in the same color, District 2 is in the same color. So it gives you a good depiction of where those boundary lines have changed. But we'll go through each of the districts in the next 5 slides. So District 1 in 2011 included the communities of Paso Robles, San Miguel, Heritage Ranch, Templeton, Shandon, and then across to the county lines. And you can see Camp Roberts is fairly dominant in both of these maps. So in 2021, those district lines pulled far more east. In 2011, you can see that the district lines basically bordered the coastal range of mountains. Now it's pulled further east, and it includes the communities of Paso Robles, Templeton, Shandon, east to the county line, and then it swoops down underneath Atascadero and takes in Santa Margarita as well. And then you can see in District 2 that it used to run in the 2011 district. It ran basically along the coast, bordering District 1, included the communities of San Simeon, Cambria, Cayucas, Morro Bay, Los Osos, and then it went into San Luis, into the Laguna Lake area, and then up Foothill, and parts of the, actually most of the Cal Poly campus. And District 2 in 2021 moves over again to abut District 1, but it takes in, besides San Simeon, Cambria, and Cayucas, it also includes San Miguel, Heritage Ranch, Atascadero, and all of the area between the coast and those more eastern communities. And then District 3, 2011 District 3 included parts of San Luis Obispo, Pismo Beach, Grover Beach, Avila Beach, and the SLO Country Club area. And now District 3 has been changed to include Morro Bay, most of the city of San Luis Obispo, and then that area along Highway 1, connecting the two communities of Morro Bay and San Luis Obispo, the two cities of Morro Bay and San Luis Obispo. District 4, you can see, has grown significantly in size. It did in 2011, it included Oceano, Arroyo Grande, Nipomo, and then east and south to the county line. And now it includes the San Luis Obispo Country Club area, Arroyo Grande, Nipomo, Pozo, Creston, California, and then east and south to the county line. And then lastly, District 5, which is, changed. If you just compare District 5 to District 5, it's changed the most drastically. District 5 included parts of San Luis, the northern part around the Cal Poly campus, Atascadero, Santa Margarita, Pozo, Creston, California Valley, and then east to the county line. And now District 5 is actually a coastal district. It includes Los Osos, Avila Beach, Grover Beach, Pismo Beach, Oceano, and then part of San Luis Obispo. So that gives you an overview of how the lines have changed with the redistricting effort that was completed last year. So one of the big questions that's come up is, what is the effective date of these new districts? So the maps have all been adopted, have been finalized and adopted, but the current lines stay in effect until the new term begins, until the office holders that are elected from those new lines actually take office. So for our congressional districts, that will be January of 2023. They're up for election this year, and the office holders will take their oath of office in early January of 2023, and that's when the new lines will be in effect. For our state Senate, those two districts are not on the ballot this year because they're 4-year terms. So the new lines won't go into effect until December of 2024, which they're on the ballot in 2024. They'll take their oath of office in December of that year. For state assembly, both of the districts will be on the ballot this year, so they will become effective in December of this year, 2022. And then in our supervisorial district lines, 2 and 4, which are on the ballot in this election year, will take office in January of 2023. But 1, 3, and 5 don't take office until January of 2025. So those current lines will remain in effect through December of 2024. So let's talk a little bit about deferrals and accelerations. If you've been following the redistricting process, you've heard those terms being used. So the first thing to note is that they only apply to 4-year terms, because the 2-year terms come up on the ballot every year. So the new lines will be in effect after this year's elections for our congressional and congressional and assembly districts. And in this year, it's the even numbered districts that are on the ballot. So supervisorial, it'd be 2 and 4. For state senate, it'd be 2, 4, 6, 8, continuing on. So as a definition, a deferral applies to voters that were scheduled to vote in 2022. So they last voted in 2018 for supervisor, but their vote is delayed until 2024 due to the change in the supervisorial district lines or the Senate lines. And then accelerations apply to voters that were scheduled for 2024. They actually voted for a supervisor or a state senator in 2020, but because of the changes, they've been moved up to 2022. So they're voting 2 years earlier for a Board of Supervisors member or a state Senate member. So let's take a look at who is affected by these accelerations or deferrals. So we don't have any accelerations or deferrals in our Senate districts. we moved from being all in the 17th district to being split between the 17th and the 21st districts. Again, an odd number district to 2 odd number districts. So it doesn't affect when the voters living within the 17th district will vote. We will all vote in 2024 for our state senators. And the State Redistricting Commission made a concerted effort to address the accelerations and deferrals by moving, trying to move odd number districts into odd number districts and even number districts into even number districts where it was possible for them to do that, so that they minimize those accelerations or deferrals. For instance, San Luis County could have been, in a numbering scheme of being in the 17th and the 18th district, which would have created some accelerations for us, but they made the concerted effort to minimize those. But let's take a look at what's happening with our county supervisorial district lines. So under accelerations, which are those voters who will now vote in 2022 instead of having to wait till 2024, according to the consultant that worked with the county, this affects about a little over 48,000 people, and that's population, not registered voters. That's population. So these are the communities that move from District 1 to District 2. They're having their vote accelerated. San Miguel, Heritage Ranch, the city of Atascadero, and then all of that area between coastal communities of Cayucos, Morro Bay, San Simeon, Cambria, and the above communities, having spread further east, District 2 spread further east. And then the areas that move from District 3 to District 4 include the San Luis Country Club area and rural Arroyo Grande. And then areas that move from District 5 to District 4 would be Pozo, Creston, and California Valley, and all of the area out there. And then on deferrals, again, these are people that should have been voting in 2022, but their vote is now deferred or delayed until 2024. And that deferrals affect about 49,000, almost 49,500 people in population. So moving from District 2 to District 3 would be the city of Morro Bay and parts of San Luis Obispo. And then moving from District 2 to District 5 would be Los Osos and parts of San Luis Obispo. And then moving from District 4 to District 3 would be the community of Oceano. So those are the areas that will be affected, where people will either be voting early if it's an acceleration, or having their vote delayed by 2 years if they're in the area that was deferred. So the big question is, who represents me? So I took this language from the administrative office webpage, and it's mostly verbatim. I just kind of chopped it up a little bit to make it easier to present to you. But I do encourage you to go on their website and look at this issue about learn how the newly adopted districts are being phased in. It's got, the maps that I showed you side by side. You can view those maps by swiping one way for the 2011 districts and swiping the other for the 2022 or 2021 districts. So it's a nice tool if you're interested to see those a little bit more closely. So for the remainder of 2022, all of our residents will continue to be represented by the supervisor of the 2011 supervisorial district within which they reside. So if you're in District 2, you will continue to be represented by the District 2 supervisor until the next election. That makes total sense. The 2022 election cycle will include 3 supervisorial races. Districts 2 and 4 that are using the 2021 boundaries. So the election is being conducted under the new boundaries. And then there's a special election in District 3 that's going to be using the 2011 boundaries. And the reason that there's a special election is that Adam Hill was elected as the supervisor for District 3 in 2020 and passed away. And his successor was appointed by the governor. And that person, the current supervisor, has to run for election at the next election, which is now 2022. So there is an election for what we call a short term or a 2-year term in District 3, but it has to go back and use the boundary from which that district supervisor was elected. So Adam Hill was elected from the 2011 boundary lines. So that election has to go back and use those boundary lines to elect the person that will be serving the district for the next 2 years. So in 2022, some residents will vote in one supervisorial race. That would be the new districts 2 and 4. Some in 2, those that are in the new District 2 and also in the old District 3. And that again would include the San Luis Country Club area and rural Rio Grande. And I think there's about 4,000 voters that applies to. And then some won't be voting in any races at all, which always happens in our supervisorial contests, because there's either 2 of them on the ballot or there's 3 on the ballot. But it's exacerbated this year because of the deferrals, as well as just the depending on which ones are up for election. So what happens after the 2022 election? So after it's been certified, some residents will live in areas where there's one elected supervisor. And the wording that's in italics was added by me. So that would be if there was no change to their district line, or if they moved from an odd number to an odd number. For instance, Santa Margarita moved from District 5 to District 1, or if they moved from an even number to an even number. And I was trying to think of, are there any that actually had that kind of a move? And I can't think of any off the top of my head that moved from even to even. Either there was no change, or they moved, or it was an odd to odd move. And then some will live in areas where there are 2 elected supervisors, and those are the accelerated areas. The city of Atascadero is in the current District 5. And that District 5 will remain in effect, remember, until January of 2025. But they're also in the new District 2. So they will actually be represented by both the District 5 supervisor and the newly elected District 2 supervisor. The same is true, San Miguel Heritage Ranch that are in District 1, they'll continue to be represented by District 1, even though they've moved into the new District 2. So they'll have the 2 elected supervisors. And then some residents will live in areas where they won't be electing the supervisor until the 2024 election. And those are the deferred areas. Los Osos, Morro Bay, parts of San Luis Obispo, and Oceano. And the website doesn't say this, but I think that the question remains is who will be the supervisor that they would contact if a constituent calls to speak to their Board of Supervisors representative or submits public comments. It's always, where do you live so that I can refer you to the correct supervisor? And it remains a question as to what supervisor those people living in the deferred areas, or if you want, you can call them an orphaned community, that who they would be referred to, who will they speak to if they have a question or a concern at the county level. But then the website goes on to say that regardless of district elections, the Board of Supervisors acts on behalf of all residents in the county. Again, the question remains of who would be the supervisor that is that they would speak to if they have a concern. So how do you find out what district you're in? I mean, I've given you kind of a broad brush. The maps are not in great detail, but the easiest way to find out is to go to voter status lookup at slovote.com. Now, you have to be a registered voter, and I would like to put in a plug that if any of you are not registered voters, you have until May 23rd to register to vote. If you're living in San Luis Obispo County, register to vote in San Luis County, and then you can look up the districts that you're in. So anyway, you go to voter status lookup and you enter your birth date, the last 4 digits of your driver's license, and your street address. Click on show status, and what appears is both your 2010 and 2021 districts. So you can see from my residence address that I was in the 17th senatorial district for the 2010 district lines, and I'm still in the 17th senatorial. I was in the 24th congressional, and I remain in the 24th congressional. I was in District 2, but now I've been moved to District 5. And I was in the 34th Assembly District, but now I'm in the 30th Assembly District. So this also gives you a clue as to what's on your ballot. I should expect to see a 24th Congressional District race, a 35th Assembly District race, but no supervisorial contest because District 5 is not up until 2024. You can also find more information on calmatters.org, and this is only going to deal with your congressional, Senate, and Assembly districts. And the best way to find this when you go to their website is just type in search, find new congressional district lines, and you'll type in your street address. So this is not tied to voter registration. It's just tied to street address. So you would type in your street address, and then it will show you the boundaries and the registration makeup for your Assembly, Senate, and congressional districts. And then the nice thing about the visual depiction on this map is it shows the current district is in yellow, the new district is in purple, and then where it's checkered, that's where the overlap is. So you can see kind of what the old to new district looks like pretty easily. And then it also gives you a partisan breakdown of registered voters. And again, these are just registered Democrats and registered Republicans. It does not include declined to state or no party preference voters, which in San Luis County make up about 20% of our registration. But it does give you at least an idea about what the partisan breakdown is. So that's also a good website for you to look at how the changes affect the state or affect our area. But wait, that's not all. There's going to be more changes coming in November. And there was a change from at-large election to by-district elections in many of our jurisdictions, including the cities of Arroyo Grande and Grover Beach, our school districts, Lucia Mar, Paso Robles, San Luis Coastal, Shandon, Coast, and Cayucas Elementary. And then our special districts, Oceano CSD, Los Osos CSD, Port San Luis Harbor District, and Cayucas Sanitary District, all move from at-large to by-district elections. And then changing their boundary lines, in addition, were Paso Robles and Cuesta College Governing Board, which had already moved to by-district elections. So what does that mean? What's the difference between an at-large election and a by-district election? So in an at-large election, candidates from anywhere in the jurisdiction, let's say the city of San Luis Obispo, can apply to be a candidate, and every voter in San Luis Obispo County and the city of San Luis Obispo would vote for those candidates. And it's typically a vote for 2 or 3, depending on how many seats are open. So if you live in the city of San Luis and you got your ballot, you might see 6 candidates and it would say vote for no more than 2. And then whoever gets the 2 candidates that get the most votes would be declared elected. And that applies to most of our cities and all of our special districts. And then you had by district elections. So that's what they're moving to, is to a by district election. And in those elections, a candidate must live within the district boundaries, not just the whole city of San Luis Obispo, within the district that they're running for. And only voters within those district boundaries would vote. So it's always a vote for one, because there's only one position open for each of those districts. That applies to the city of Paso Robles, Cuesta College Governing Board. And then, of course, the Board of Supervisors elections are the same. Those are by district elections. And then there's a hybrid that's been used by some of our school districts, where a candidate must live within a trustee area boundary, but all voters in the jurisdiction vote. So it's a nominate by trustee area, but elect at large. And that's how San Luis Coastal and Lucia Mar Unified School Districts have been conducting their elections in the past. So why change now? So the California Voting Rights Act prohibits at-large election systems if there is racially polarized voting. So these cities and school districts and special districts have received either lawsuits or threats of lawsuits if they don't change their election system. So basically, they're working to avoid a lawsuit by doing this. But you can see with the large number of jurisdictions involved, there was a lot of activity going on with redistricting, even though much of the focus was focused on the state and our county board of supervisors lines. There were changes going on throughout the county in many of our cities and schools and special districts. So what does it mean for voters? So if you're within a city, not all voters will have contests for city council candidates like they were used to. Again, you're going to have some city voters whose votes are being deterred or deferred for another 2 years. And typically the mayor is elected at large. So if there is an elected mayor, then the mayor can be from anywhere in the city, and all of the voters would vote for mayor. But for city council, that would be divided into 4 districts, and each candidate has to be from that district, and only voters in that district can vote. And then again, for our schools and special district candidates, not all voters will have contests, and all elections by either a city district, a school trustee area, or a special district division will be a vote for one. From an elections administration standpoint, what it means is there are going to be a lot of different ballot types. For instance, in the community of Los Osos, which is where I live, there will be districts for the community, or divisions for the Los Osos Community Services District, as well as different trustee areas for San Luis Coastal. And the lines probably don't coincide specifically. So there will be people that will be voting on school district and the community services district, or just on community services district, or just on the school districts, or on neither. So it will just add some confusion for voters when they go to the polls or when they get their ballots. So that's kind of what's been going on with redistricting, what the effect of the maps that we have. And I want to thank you for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and stop share. And I see that we do have quite a few questions. So I will be opening up those questions and can hopefully answer them to you for you. So hang in there with me just for a moment. Somebody asked for state senate and assembly districts, which side of the line are Grover Beach and Oceano on? And I have to apologize to you. I meant to look up Oceano because it looks like Oceano might be in the bottom half of that district split, but I don't know specifically. Again, the easiest way to do that would be to look up an address in Oceano on that calmatters.org, and then it would show you which district it's in. Again, putting those tools into your hands so that you can find those in there, so that you can actually look at those. Somebody asks if I'll defer this one, but it says, does the new District 4 include Pozo and Creston? Could we see that line again? And again, the line is not really clear because it doesn't have all the communities, but yes, I believe that it does. I might be wrong on Creston, but I believe that it does include both of those. And then there's a message right here. Let me see. Is there any point in the new District 5 where voters ever had a chance to vote for or against the present until 2025 District 5 supervisor? How many of them are missing any chance to vote for their supervisor for 6 years? I don't have the specific number for District 5, but no, there is no point in the new District 5 where voters had the chance to vote in a race that included the current District 5 supervisor, because the districts are so very distinct. The total number of deferrals that I gave you was 20 was about 49,000. So those that are affected by that District 5 shift include Los Osos and parts of San Luis Obispo. And I don't have that number right off the top of my head. But it's only those votes. It's not all of District 5, because much of District 5 is currently in District 3. So they voted for that supervisor, and we'll have the opportunity to vote for the District 3 supervisor who's continuing to represent them. But nobody within the new District 5 would have ever voted in the old District 5 unless they had changed locations, but there's no overlap between those two communities. So the question is, just went to the website, but it says not updated for June 7th primary. And I think that applies to the polling place lookup. If you look up the voter status, it should give you the district lines, but it probably won't tell you whether or not you have been sent a vote by mail ballot or what your polling place is. So the question comes up, has the county described how it will be providing constituency service to the deferred or orphan communities? Does the League of Women Voters have a suggestion? Are there examples of other counties that can offer ideas or suggestions? I've read you what was on their website. They don't address it specifically as to, okay, if you live in Los Osos or you live in Morro Bay or Oceano, this is the person that you call. I think it will happen when those calls come in, I mean, you've got to refer them to somebody. I know that I read at the state level, in the state redistricting effort that happened in 2010 or 2011, that they did, the Senate specifically addressed, if you lived in a certain district and got moved to a district whose votes deferred, then this would be the state senator that is going to be representing you, or that will take your call. I mean, they're not officially representing you because of the line changes, but I think it's, I don't know that the league has a suggestion. I think that it will be tested as to what happens when we we make that phone call, or when we submit public comment. So I think it does remain to be seen, and certainly it's not addressed specifically to say, if you live in Los Osos, call this supervisor. They will be handling your constituency services. If you live in Oceano, call this supervisor. I think that that's one of the big question that remains, and not only for those of us who live in the orphan districts, communities, but for others as well. With all of these changes and complexities, what are the concerns that the circumstances may result in reduced voter participation or voters not voting on the down ballot races? What are the county, League of Women Voters, and others doing to address these concerns? I think anytime that there's changes, there's always a concern about, not discouraging or decreasing voter participation because of this. What the league's doing is that we're, trying to do educational, informational webinars to get the word out. Certainly the county is, putting information, the county elections office is putting information in the county information booklet. So, they're doing their part to get the word out. It's, I think it is one of the concerns that we have anytime that there are changes, but this has to happen every 10 years. I mean, it's not like we could just say, well, let's not do it, because it might confuse the voters. And one thing that I will say, I mean, vote by mail ballots go out for June 7th, next week. They are, each voter will be receiving 2 ballot cards with races on both sides of both cards. So when you talk about down ballot races, all of our local races will be what we consider down ballot races, because we've got governor, all of our state constitutional officers. We've got, this is another confusing thing, 2 state Senate races, one for the full 4-year term and one for the remainder of the term that our current state senator was appointed to. And there's, with the top 2 primary, there are so many candidates for some of the offices. We just got our county or our state sample of state information guide in the mail. And if you look at that, you can see all the candidates that are on the ballot, which is what forced it onto 2 cards. So there's going to be a lot to address with voter participation. And I think that the league will continue to get the word out that it's important to vote. It's also critical. You don't have to vote on everything that's on the ballot. So, and we've been talking to high school students and telling them, don't be overwhelmed by what's on the ballot. Just pick the races that are most important to you, and do your research and vote in those races. So let's see. So the question became, how no one must indicate a race in registering to vote. So how is the existence of racially polarized voting determined given this and giving the right of every voter to cast a secret ballot. It's really done by census data, by the population and the population of what the races are, whether it's Latinos or Blacks, Asian, whatever it is, it's done by, and whether or not there's what you would call a minority majority district, or the other way around, where there's a majority, or let's say that a certain race makes up a third of the electorate, but when you look at the district splits, number one, they can't ever elect anybody from that their group, or that the split is such that they don't have the voting power. So there's several different ways that they look at that, but it's mostly by the census data. The question is, when will the lawsuit by SLO CCGG be decided, and what will be the impact on the next election? I can't really address that. I would say, if you're interested in the lawsuit, to look up and just follow what's happening. I'm sure it'll be in the news. I know that it's ongoing, but until the judge makes a decision, I think it's impossible to say when it will be decided and what the impact will be. So is Santa Margarita being moved from District 5 to District 1, but rural Santa Margarita residents moved to District 3? I don't know about the rural Santa Margarita, if District 3 would go up and catch that, or if all of it is in District 1 now. I don't know exactly how far down that line goes. Again, I would encourage you to use, in that you'd have to find a registered voter from the rural Santa Margarita residents to find out which supervisorial district they are in. It's so granular, and the maps don't show that much detail on a map. Although I do think that there is a way that you can go to the county clerk's website and pull up what's called their ArcGIS view and get down to more granular level. And I apologize that I didn't think about showing that as well, because I think it does allow you to look at those much more closely. And it looks like that's the end of the questions. I don't know if you had any more questions. We still have a few minutes left. If you don't, that's okay, because that means we get to get done early. But if you do have any other questions, you can go ahead and submit those. And it doesn't look like we have anything else. Again, the questions about specifics, where Oceano is, where Pozo and Creston are, I would suggest that you go into either the ArcGIS on the county's website, or if it's Assembly, Senate, or Congressional, you can go to that Cal Matters lawsuit. And then somebody just sent me a reminder to mention Voters Edge. So if you're interested in following any of the candidates, Voters Edge is a tool that is available from the state of, the League of Women Voters of California. And the league encourages all of the candidates to participate, to add their top 3 priorities, give a profile. And so you can use that to help you find out about candidates, who's supporting them, what their positions are, who's giving them money, as well as if you put in your address, it's going to bring you up a ballot, and that will give you an indication of what contests are going to be on your ballot. Easy to remember, it's Voters Edge And I know that our team at our local league has been working on it, and should be up, if it's not up already, that many of our candidates should be putting them, should be entering their information. So question is, what will happen to CSAs, which I think are, I'm not sure what that stands for, like the Santa Margarita Area Advisory Council. So I'm assuming it's talking about advisory council that is one agency now having more than one supervisor. Santa Margarita actually wouldn't be one of those. I don't think. Maybe it would if it's in 1 and 3. But again, remember that the only districts that or the only areas that have 2 supervisors are those whose votes were accelerated. Again, City of Santa Margarita, I'm sorry, City of Atascadero, Heritage Ranch, San Miguel, Country Club area, rural Aurora Grande. Those are the areas that will have 2 supervisors. Santa Margarita will continue to just have the 1 supervisor, the District 5 supervisor that they elected in 2020. Will continue to serve them until 2024. So hopefully that answers all your questions. I appreciate your attendance and the great questions that you had. And I hope that nothing in here will discourage anybody to get out and vote, because it's important that we all participate. As you know, the last redistricting process has taught us, the more participation there is, the more people participate in our democracy, the more powerful it is. So thank you again for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.